This is the Ford Ranger Raptor Diesel. Pretty much the diesel twin to the gasoline 3-litre V6 twin-turbo Raptor. So in the Ranger's lineup, we have the single cab, the XL, XLT, XLT Plus, Wildtrak, Platinum, and this one, the Raptor. It is the second most expensive Ranger in Malaysia that you can buy right now. Fancy truck this is. Let's have a closer look at it.
This video is brought to you by Petronas Dynamic Diesel Euro 5 with ProDrive technology, the diesel fuel of choice for clean, efficient and smooth driving.
So the petrol Ranger Raptor costs 260,000 ringgit. Well, this one, the diesel, costs 249,000 ringgit. So there's an 11,000 ringgit price difference. Now, what does that price difference make? Well, first, we have less power, we have less torque. Truck is slightly heavier, e-locking diff is only at the back, Fox shocks not the live shock type, and lastly, water wading depth is also slightly lower. The easiest way to tell this apart from the petrol Raptor is the single exhaust tailpipe. So the petrol one gets two, this one only gets one. It also gets less decals, which I think give the truck an overall cleaner look. Now, since we're at the back here, let's talk about the reason why you buy something like this, and it is the truck bed. So what do you get with the truck bed in the Raptor Diesel? First things first, you get an easy lift tailgate. Makes your life a lot easier. Bed liner is standard. There are holes here which are mounts for clamps, so you can do some woodworking. Now, what's in the bed itself? Well, you get a 12-volt socket here. You also get a 3-pin socket here. And if you're wondering about the size of the bed of the Raptor Diesel, it's exactly the same bed size as the standard dual cab Ranger, which is about 1.56 meters long, 1.58 meters wide, and about 0.54 meters tall. It's pretty much the biggest truck bed in comparison to the dual cab trucks in Malaysia. It only loses out slightly in terms of length compared to the humble Isuzu D-Max. What else can be said about the exterior? Well, this is clearly an expensive looking truck which might not be used to its full potential. But hey, maybe you're one of the very few guys who would do so. And if you are, well, there's some useful stuff here. There's 2 recovery hooks at the front, 2 recovery hooks at the back. Side step width is pretty good, makes your life a bit easy. No box step like you'd find in the Ranger Wildtrak, but that's okay. The rear bumper size is pretty good. It's pretty easy to climb into the truck bed. Now let's talk about the suspension. The diesel Raptor doesn't get the all-around Fox live shock setup like the petrol one. So it only gets an internal bypass Fox shock 2.5 inches. And you can tell this apart from the live shock type by simply looking at the damper. There's no little extension on it for the live shock function. Rear suspension is a coil type. So yes, no leaf springs for both Raptors. Another thing missing in the diesel Raptor is the front e-locking diff. So the petrol one gets an e-locking diff at the front and the back. This one only gets an e-locking diff for the rear axle. Ventilated disc brakes for the front, solid disc brakes for the back, and you get factory fitted all-terrain tires. So this is bigger than the normal Ranger, longer, wider and taller. So you might want to think about it before you buy one. Our roads aren't the biggest and people like to double park. Other than that, well, the wheelbase is exactly the same like the Ranger, 3.27 meters. Fuel tank is also the same at 80 liters. Now this is a fancy truck interior. Just look at the materials. Soft things here, soft things here, soft things here, and the fabric on these seats feel like some expensive activewear. Fancy seats, also a fancy 12-inch screen right here. And what does it do? So the menu for the main screen looks pretty simple, even looks a bit undone if I'm being honest. But the car does come with its own navigation system. I've tried it, it is pretty accurate, pretty useful, even with the live traffic, it's pretty good. And what else does the screen do? We get a 360-degree view, but there is no 3D option here. So that's a bit of a bummer. And what else can the screen do? We have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. These are both wireless, so that's nice. You can even stick in a USB-A flash drive in here, so you can play some songs as well, whatever you want. That's pretty cool. The bottom section of the screen is dedicated for the HVAC controls, and I know most of us are not a fan of this, but don't worry about that. There is an actual set of physical buttons right beneath this big screen. Now, one thing that kind of bothers me about this screen is that there are some hidden functions. So what is that? Well, I was looking for the auto hold function. There is no physical button on the center console, not on the dashboard. You'd have to go into the settings menu here, go to driver assistance, and auto hold is right there. Another screen in the Raptor is the digital instrument cluster, so you can choose a few types of information to show here. The most interesting one perhaps would be the off-road mode. You can show things like pitch and roll. There are other types of displays that you can show in here as well. My favorite one would be calm, you know, just after a hectic day at work, at least there's something in your life that's literally calm. Now, since we're here, let's hear what the angry Raptor sounds like. Not very angry, is it? Cubby spaces, you get a sunglasses holder here, glove box here, another one here, nothing here, cup holder here, same thing on the driver's side as well. Two more cup holders on the center console, wireless phone charger, it's a bit more storage here, really big center armrest storage. Perhaps my favorite thing about the cubby space in this car is the door bin. You can actually put two bottles, one small one and another big one. Ergonomic seats are pretty comfortable. Driver and front passenger seats are both power adjustable with lumbar support, but no memory function. Steering wheel gets tilt and telescopic steering adjustment. And one interesting thing about the Ranger in general is its door handle design. It's really quite nice. Before we go on to the back seats, look up here and you will see a set of auxiliary switches. There's 6 of them right here. And what are these for? Well, they are for accessories, spotlights, whatsoever. So these switches, they're already pre-wired, so installation will be quite easy for you. Second row seats are actually really quite comfortable, luxurious you might even say, for a pickup truck. What do you get in the back here? Well, you get rear air vents, USB-A port, USB-C port, and even a 3-pin socket. So who says that you need an EV for this kind of feature? Storage space, well, you get pockets behind the front seats, door bins a bit smaller than the ones at the front, and you get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. So what are we working with here? Well, we have a 2-litre 4-cylinder bi-turbo diesel engine, 210 horsepower, 500 Newton meters of torque, 10-speed automatic with pedal shifters. Of course, this truck also comes with 4-wheel drive, and you can choose between 4H, 2H, 4A, 4L, and the most interesting one of that would be 4A. Means you get full-time all-wheel drive with the Ranger Raptor. And that means you can drive on the highway with 4A. You can also do some soft-roading with 4A. We are at some undisclosed location, a bit of off-road, but I'm pretty sure something like this can be traversed with even with the product Myvi. So I'm just going to keep this in 2H and pick up some dust. All right, that's pretty much the amount of off-roading we'll be doing in this video. I'm just gonna go on the road. It's a bit more comfortable to talk. But before that, let's get some fuel in the tank.
This video is brought to you by Petronas Dynamic Diesel Euro 5 with ProDrive technology. Engineered to give you better fuel economy and a smoother drive, Petronas Dynamic Diesel Euro 5 also removes deposits, protects the injectors, and cleans vital diesel engine components to improve engine durability. Feel the difference today at a Petronas station near you.
So what's good about the Ranger Raptor Diesel? Well, first things first, you get pretty good ground clearance, 265 millimeters. The normal Ranger only gets 230 millimeters, so off-roading with this thing is a bit more carefree. And even if you do high center, there's good underbody protection. Even the side steps are pretty tough, so you know, minimal worries when you go off-road. And before you say that the Raptor is just a fancy looking Ranger, no it is not. It gets a unique chassis compared to the standard Ranger, so that means you get reinforcement for the C-pillar, the load box and the spare wheel area. There are also unique frames for the jounce bumper, shock tower and the rear shock brackets. The Raptor also gets tougher underbody protection with mounting points for extra bash plates should you want to install them. Speaking off-road, well, there's a few driving modes in this car. So there's normal, there's sports, there's also Baja, and you can select these driving modes from the wheel on the center console, and it would automatically select 4H, 2H, 4A, 4L. So that's very convenient. Unique for the Raptor is an off-road screen which you can engage by clicking the button on the center console. This gives you a better view of your surroundings, especially when the truck isn't level. You know what, this is a fun thing to trash around, albeit the lack of the full-on live shocks like the petrol one, and also the lack of the e-locking diff at the front. The only thing holding you back, perhaps, you know, with a truck like this is, I would say, you know, its size. I'm just going to be mentioning this over and over again. It is pretty big by Malaysian standards, and imagine driving this through some tight off-road courses. Definitely not the easiest, but you know, some of you guys are up for it. It's also a bit heavier, so this is about 2.4 metric tons. So compared to the normal Ranger, this is about 200 kilos heavier. So just thought I'd give you a heads up on that. Now let's talk about town driving. Now again, this is a big car, but drive it long enough and I think you'll be very familiar with which roads you can comfortably fit in and which roads that you can't. It's just unfortunate that our roads aren't the biggest ones, and you know, we like to double park, so things get a bit tight. But you know, like I said, driving this after a while, you'd be very familiar. You'd probably park you know, somewhere a bit far and just walk if needed. You just eventually get used to it. Even fitting in parking spots, I guess it's gonna be a bit of a hassle. Of course, even our parking spots are not uniformly sized, so there will be times when this will be spilling out of a parking box. If you so happen to use this truck for work, I imagine you'll be doing a lot of waiting in this cabin. And you know what, it's not such a bad place to be in. I've already said it, cabin is luxurious for a truck. There's a lot of things to keep you entertained as well. And if you get really bored, you know what, there's even a sketch app in the screen. You can do some drawing, you can do some planning, whatever you want in it, so that's nice. And speaking of this nice cabin, takes me to my next point, highway driving. Pair this nice cabin with the ride quality of this. It doesn't even feel like a truck when I'm on the highway, except for the you know, the high seating position. It actually feels almost like a monocoque chassis SUV. You know, that's quite something. Perhaps the most refined ride among the trucks in Malaysia. Power is plenty too, sounds mighty grunty as well. Sure, it's not as much power as the petrol Raptor. This one is 210 horsepower metric and 500 Newton meters of torque. So you know what, accelerating is fine. Even from high speeds, 80 up to 120 is effortless. And when you get to high speeds, at 140, 150, it is actually very relaxed in here. We're revving at, you know what, 2000 RPM or below. Even when you're at the high speeds, cabin insulation, I would say it's decent. Sure, the all-terrain tires will be a bit noisy, but generally it's a nice level of noise intrusion, not too much. Sure, a bit of wind, minimal, and of course most of the sound is coming from 80 tires. So that's that. Now, if you're wondering about the fuel consumption, the Raptor Diesel does 8.2 liters per 100 kilometers, so that's about 12 kilometers per liter. That's on paper, of course, so in the real world, perhaps 10 kilometers per liter. You get an 80-liter tank in the Raptor Diesel, so a full tank should give you about 800 kilometers of range. You also get a comprehensive set of safety features with the Raptor Diesel, so you're sorted out in terms of things like adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, and the likes of them. Sure, the advanced safety systems can get a bit intrusive, but it shouldn't really bother you. So do I like the Ranger Raptor Diesel? Well, I would consider it. It's a pretty nice, fancy truck, and you really only have to tolerate its size. As usual, for more information on the truck, head on to AutoBuzz.my. If you like this video, give it a like, share and subscribe. Also remember to turn on notifications. If you didn't, please let us know why. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Petronas Dynamic Diesel Euro 5.